Greetings, Questers. Just want to go over the version 4.1.3 update that should be coming out tomorrow. In this update, we've gone through a couple of extra improvements to the battle map system, things that I had wanted to dive into and give to people. But we'll just start off with some of the basic patch notes. And so the image input now actually accepts specific types: PNG files, JPEG files, GIF files, and webp files. I highly recommend, if people are trying to save space or improve performance for images, to find a webp format to take any PNG or JPEG or GIF or whatever and convert it to a webp. It'll save you a lot of time. That being said, on the battle maps, we've added a new alpha property to the objects that you can change. So you can change the transparency of an object, so you can control that individually now. We've also added a new mode value, which lets you change the rendering mode, whether it's a screen or an overlay or something similar to that, where you can blend it in with the objects behind it. This is very useful to create effects and things like that to give you really neat layered images and effects that are going to give you a really cool and interesting looking map. On top of that, we have now added the ability to add animated videos. So you can do so by getting a webm file and uploading it directly to Questline. We do have a file limit of 30 megabytes currently. This may change in the future, but this is what we think is probably a good starting point. We updated the add image button down on the bottom right to reflect the change for the add image inputs, the same thing up here. And then we also changed the way the grid renders to blend into the map better and not leave a lot of extra lines around the map when it's not actually rendering over an image or something similar. Next to that, we have updated the way that the fog of war is saved to the database. This is actually a big improvement over how it used to. So you'll find that performance when updating your fog of war, it should save much faster now, and to include when it loads on the end of the players, it should load much quicker. So that being said, we did do a couple of bug fixes. When you create a new character, you can't save it now without, if they don't have a name. The map pings should properly work again. Sorry for breaking that. And then changing the map grid size should properly trigger an immediate change of the map once again, so that way you can view it, the new grid size. Besides that, the known issues and regarding battle maps has to do with iOS devices. I tried to do a lot to fix this issue, but webm files don't play on iOS devices. So videos will not display on iOS devices. However, we do capture a thumbnail of a video as long as you upload the video from a non-iOS device. It will capture a thumbnail of it and will, well, I guess not a thumbnail, it's a full image, but it will post that image as part of the video file, so that when it loads, if it determines that it's on an iOS device, it'll just display a static image. But the reason why we did this and why we didn't include MP4s was that MP4s are huge, and they just eat up a ton of storage space on the servers. And so we're trying to reduce that, and to improve people's playability is to not include things like MP4s, because MP4s are just so big. 1 minute of video is about 150 megabytes, and it can drastically reduce the performance of any given map for anyone. So to get around this, we decided that we are just going to stick with webm files. Perhaps in the future we'll find some clever way to deal with MP4s, but secondarily, you could use an MP4 on iOS devices, and I tested this very thoroughly and tried to find a good way to deal with this problem. But you run into a very strong problem where MP4s will continuously reload themselves, will re-download themselves every single time it goes to repeat the video. So if I have a 150 megabyte 1 minute file, it will literally continually re-download that 150 megabytes every single time it reaches the end of the video if it's set to loop. So this is, to me, a huge problem with iOS. and the Safari browser, the WebKit browsers. And there's nothing I can do about that. So I've had to kind of limit some of the way the files are capable of, what file types are capable of being uploaded. But in the future, we'll reinvestigate this and hopefully come up with a better solution to fix that. But in the meantime, let me give you a quick demo of what it's capable of doing. So we'll just quickly go over and add a new map. Actually, we will just come here and let's just say our test animated map. And what we're going to do, we'll simply save that and go back and then activate it. We'll find it right here. We're going to activate this map. As you can see, it's created our base layer. And we noticed that it was just a tiny little bug there. I'll have to fix that. Seems to not load completely, but again, this will come out tomorrow. All these bugs will be cleaned up. So given that we want to be able to have an animated map, it works just the same as before. You can either click the add here down below and you can pick the picture, or you can simply drag an image over, and we'll do that now. We'll simply grab our webm file and we'll drag it right over, and we'll see it does the same thing. You'll see a nice little thumbnail down here of it uploading the file. It'll take a little bit depending on the size of the file. In this case, this is roughly a 15 megabyte file, so it takes a little bit for me. And I'll just pause this and wait till it finishes so you can see. Okay, it's finished. So you can see that it plopped the video right down on the map, just like any image does. If I zoom in, you can see that there are some animations, some great looking shadows and all kinds of great animated stuff. This map particularly comes from Patreon, from the patron, the animated dungeon maps. You can find them there. This is a free set of maps. They're pretty fantastic. But this is a great way to show off the example of what we're trying to do here. So just like anything, you can actually drag multiple objects here. So I'm going to do a real quick upload of another one, of another animated map that I found. And we'll simply just drag it right here, and it'll upload. We'll give it a second. This is a pretty small one. And you can see that it works just the same. And so with that, you can literally have multiple animated maps working at the same time. So we'll just get rid of this one real quick. But what I really want to show is one of the features that we added, which is the ability to add multiple layers and be able to manipulate those layers so that they give you a really cool effect. So what I'll do is I'll add another layer here, and I'm going to put in weather effects. And what is really great about this is that I can simply take another image, another webm file, and drag it right on top. And let's pick a nice rain effect here. So we'll pick down a rain from the top. We'll paste this here. We'll let that upload. I'll pause this until it's done. All right, it's finishing its upload here. All right, so now we have this really great weather effect that we can actually take, and we'll move it, we'll resize it just like we do any other map. Resize it to roughly the same size. Then you can see that I get this really cool effect that I want. But then I can go into the map settings and I can actually adjust certain things, like I want to maybe change the alpha, so maybe it looks a little lighter and not so heavy. And then perhaps I want to change the mode, so I can maybe darken it, which you can't really see anything there. Maybe I'll do a lighten to make it pop out a little bit more, maybe a multiply. And if you go in and you zoom in, you could probably see the effects kind of pushing against the map. Maybe you could do a difference or anything, but this mode allows you to do all kinds of different effects to give you what you're looking for, to include the alpha, changing what the alpha level is so that you can reduce it or increase it. But this can immediately set the tone for a map and give you some really good looks. And so with that, We'll simply bring that out. We'll go find my favorite character. We'll put him on the map. There he is. Good old Elfric on Aldar. And with that, you can see that with the map settings, and I turn on the grid, well, it looks like we still have a small bug here that I'll have to fix. I'll enable the grid. You can see the grid there. Change the color so that it stands out a little bit more. Reduce the opacity. Save that. Now I can see my character. Snap him to the grid. There we go. And now we have a perfectly animated map, some great weather effects, and you can do all the things that you can normally do. And that's it. Thanks for stopping by. Keep questing.